Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today for our webcast. So we'll just wait a few more seconds as people are joining. So stay tuned and get yourself a good coffee. We're just having a very exciting 45 minutes ahead of us. So thanks all for those for joining. So we'll just stay tuned for a couple of more minutes before we get started. All again for joining here today, our webcast, how to make SCCM easy through modern web app for admins and patch operators. So, and let's start with the first slide with a short introduction. So who we have on the call. So your speakers today, I'll just ask my colleagues here and our special guest to give a short introduction. So Marcus, please, short introduction so for everybody in the call.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Marcus Kressner. I'm the lead developer for the myOperations product suite, and I'm 20 years into IT software development, and I'm really happy to show you today something about our myOperations patch management and be part of that great panel today.
Great, thanks, Marcus. And let me introduce our special guest, Anoop here, Microsoft MVP. Very warm welcome. Thanks for joining, Anoop. Maybe short introduction from you to our audience today here.
Yep, sure thing. Hello all. I'm Anoop. I'm a device management admin and Microsoft MVP from 2015 onwards, and I got around 20 plus years of IT experience, mostly into system admin field. Happy to be here. Back to you.
Wonderful. Great, thanks, Anoop. So greetings. We are literally around the globe on different parts here. So Marcus and I in Germany, Anoop is in India. So we'll like connect you throughout. You see the sun shining on Marcus' face, like while the sun probably set already all the way in India. So it's wonderful. So and just a reminder for everybody who joined today. So the session is being recorded. So in case you want to pick this up later, we'll send the recording out. So and really, if you have questions, use the chat, use the Q&A, and we'll basically directly pick up the questions. I see we have really like a larger number of people on here, so feel free to ask questions, and we'll take them during the session. So wonderful. So and yeah, for Axians, it's we are a brand of Vinci Energy. So and if you go to vinci.com or just look up who is actually behind that, you will actually find a very huge multinational company that is our mothership, so to say, of Axians, and we are a software development part of this, where we develop software for System Center Configuration Manager, Center Operations Manager, and Service Manager. And we'll today really focus on the Configuration Manager part. So these numbers are quite impressive. They're all brand numbers, but we span literally in many places. We actually this year opened an office in India as well. So we are like also to that continent now. We have in Asia different offices in the United States as well. So and I also welcome my colleagues here from the United States on the call. So great. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, what we're going to talk about is like this is really focused on SCCM, and the first part is like really to hear about the latest and greatest from Anoop on the inside gig, if you like, for SCCM and Endpoint Manager, and that's going to be the first part. And actually, Anoop asked me when I asked him for slides, saying, "Oh no, we're not going to do slides. We're just going to do demo." So I love that. So that's great. And then obviously, yes, we have the chance here to do a Q&A. So I have written down some questions. So, but while you go through the first part, if some questions come up, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll include them into the Q&A which we're going to have here. Next, Marcus will come on and talk a bit about the extensions we're doing, the app that sits on top of SCCM, and that really provides a very responsive, good to use front end in the browser-based application. So we'll talk about this a bit, and a bit later we're going into other areas like seeing if you have Mac or Linux systems in your environment that do require patching, and have some discussion on that as well. And again, Q&A. So if you have questions, bring them back to us. So great. So I think that's about it for the introduction. So I don't really want to talk much more before that. So I'll be your host and moderate this through. With that, I actually pass over the presenter mode here to Anoop. So Anoop, please take it away.
Yep, sure thing. Let me try to share my screen. Hope that's okay.
Perfect. Looks really good here.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. So first of all, we are going to talk about the greatest features of the newest configuration manager, right? And that is nothing but SCCM, right? I love to call it as SCCM rather than configuration manager or config MGR, right? It is difficult to pronounce for me at least. Okay. So this is the 2107 version of configuration manager, and that is the latest version, right? And you can see something over here that is called console extensions, right? That is something newly introduced in 2107 version of configuration manager. And that is the greatest way to kind of install the console extensions in a modern way, I would say, right? And this is more kind of secured way as well, right? So am I still audible? I'm getting some pop-up. Okay, cool. So let me go through some of the okay, I'm getting some network warning, so probably it's everything is okay on the screen and the camera.
Maybe you
sound.
can
Okay.
just stop the camera.
Let me go through some. Okay, sure. Okay, so
I can hear you very well.
So let me go through cool. So let me go through some of the cosmetic changes which Microsoft introduced in 2107 version. Earlier there was something called co-management over here. Now that has changed to cloud attach. Nothing. From a technology perspective, nothing changed. This is just a cosmetic change that they wanted to align with all the cloud strategy, etc. That is why they changed co-management to cloud attach, right? So the ribbon menu is also kind of changed, right? But as I mentioned, nothing technically changed in the background, right? The other thing which I wanted to quickly show is about Windows servicing. It was before Windows 10 servicing, right? Now with the introduction of Windows 11, they changed the node name to Windows servicing. That makes more sense, right? Now let's go back to some of the fun features, right? Basically, if I can go to assets and complaints, I'm going to show you one useful feature over here, that is maintenance window. Maintenance window column got introduced in this version, and this is not the default view. Maintenance windows won't come in the default view. You need to right click on this column and you need to add that particular column, right? So that is pretty useful, right? And other thing which I wanted to show you, which is the greatest feature from at least for me, right? If you go to membership rules, and if you try to edit a collection query, right, you would be able to see an interesting option over here. The preview button, I know, like, that was before as well, right? Before 2107 version. But if I go to show query language, and there is another option, open in code editor, right? That is very much useful. And over here you would be able to see the things in different colors and syntax, etc., etc., right? And language mode is SQL, and you can change it to, I don't know, PowerShell, Java, right, VB script, etc., etc., right? So this is very useful. From the, like this gives me an a kind of similar experience like SQL Management Studio, right? And that is very helpful in writing WQL queries for collections, etc. Right? That was one of the tip I wanted to give me a sec. Let me close this down and let me go over to other some of the other things, right? And another very important announcement or feature announcement came with 2107 of SCCM is this option, right? Uninstall the application if targeted object falls out of the collection. So this is called implicit uninstall feature, right? So if a particular device is going out of a collection, then an required application deployed to that particular device will get automatically uninstalled. That is very useful from an operational perspective, because you don't need to kind of create two collections for each application deployments, right? Normally I have seen many organizations create two collections for each application deployment, one for an installation, other for uninstallation, right? With this option, you would be able to eliminate that need of the uninstall collection. You just need to check mark this, and you need to go through some other configurations, like requirements are there. There are some prerequisites. For example, if this is an available application, you won't get this kind of option over here. So this is only for the required application, right? So that is the other thing I just wanted to quickly share as a tip, right? And as I mentioned, console extension I have already mentioned, and that is the one of the greatest feature. I love that. And as you can see, we have I have two console extensions already installed over here, and there are a lot of options like in each console extensions, right? And the other important information which I wanted to share, or tip I wanted to share, is how to get console extensions from Community Hub, right? Community Hub is the place where you can share your solutions, scripts, reports, console extensions with the entire configuration manager or SCCM community, right? So this is one. These are the two console extensions available now, and if you click on this is a console extension shared by somebody from Microsoft. If I can't pronounce his name, sorry. So you just need to download it, and after downloading it, now what is happening is it is fetching the details and we're downloading the files from GitHub, right? And once the download is successful, it will show up in administration, right? And it should normally show up. Okay. Yeah, it is already here, right? As you can see, this is the newest one which I just downloaded from Community Hub. And now we can go ahead and approve for installation. And once I did approve for installation, I can enable the notification for other admins. They can also install it. They will get a notification over here in the console, and they can install this a console extension on their consoles as well, right? So this is pretty nice feature. So these are the quick tips I wanted to provide as an update. I think we are going good with the time. Back to you, Marcus and Christian.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Anoop, for sharing that. So that looks really interesting and quite also especially like to integrate the community part into that. I noticed from System Center Operations Manager, they also added like a community option where things can be shown that the community contributes to other third-party vendors. So this is always really helpful because nowadays it's often very difficult to have an overview of all the solutions that are available. Great. So, so as I'm more like not so deep into the area of SCCM, so I thought about a couple of questions that might come up. So, in there's at least one question that has been asked. I'm going to put this out in a moment as well. So, when I know you have like tons of years of experience with SCCM, and I'm kind of curious, like, what is these pain points like when you talk to administrators, or what is the challenges that the SCC admins or call it config manager are really challenged with most of the time, or what do they ask you? Is there a specific area? Could you just highlight this a bit for us?
Yep, sure. There are a lot of challenges with the introduction of cloud scenarios into SCCM, and there are a lot of confusions, etc. I will quickly share 2 or 3 points over here probably I will start from a kind of something like decision making, right, in design and architecture from a design and architecture perspective, right. So Microsoft introduced Cloud Management Gateway, Cloud DP, and a lot of other things like tenant attached co-management, etc. Right. So the design and decision making is become a bit difficult. For example, if we want to, if you have a global SCCM infrastructure, and if you want to kind of place cloud management gateway in a particular region, what will happen to other regions, right? For example, if you are placing a cloud management gateway in kind of US Azure region, right? Then if you have systems to manage from Asia Pac and probably from Europe region, what is the best option to do that, right? What is the best design decisions you need to take, right? So basically, I have seen lot of questions in the forums, in the community related to this, right? And for the same thing, right, for the co-management and tenant cloud attach, for that also there are a lot of certificate requirements and different prerequisites are required, right? Some of the things need hybrid Azure AD join kind of a scenario, etc., right? These are kind of new things for SCCM admins, and these are a bit challenging for admins, right? So that is one of the point. And probably the second point is basically all work from home and return to office kind of a scenario, right? That is, yeah, we all were working from home for many months, or I think 2 years, right, almost. now the projects are getting started, something like return to office. Okay, so what we need to change, like yeah, from a content delivery perspective, right? So when we started work from home, people started using split tunneling, and then they started downloading the patches from directly from internet, etc., right, rather than going to DP distribution point and downloading the patches, etc. Now with return to office scenario, probably that is going to be a bit challenging, right? If you continue the same way, that is going to be a bit challenging. So probably we might need to go back to a hybrid scenario, where if necessary we need to think about downloading the patches and software updates, etc., from on-prem distribution points, because that is going to reduce a lot of bandwidth usage in the offices, right? And these are the confusing or challenges at the moment which SCCM admins are facing, I think. And probably the third one, what I can think of is the modern application management challenges, right? Microsoft is promoting MSIX, and most of the vendors are not kind of adopting it in that particular rate, right? I have not seen many vendors coming up with MSIX packages, right? But we have some challenges as an admin to define a strategy from an application perspective, application deployment perspective, right? Because of that. And I think SCCM admins are also using Microsoft Store for Business for deploying some store application, right? And that is also going to be a bit tricky because Microsoft announced a Microsoft Store for Business end of life around, I think, 2023, right? So we need to think about some other kind of strategies and how do you handle that kind of a situation, etc., etc. So these are the main admin challenges, I would say, from my perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. And it's just like you're talking like so much about challenges. Like I wonder, like the life of an SCC admin must be quite tough, actually. So, and I for all the SCC admins on this call here today. So I posted the blog from Anoop into the chat. So because if you're faced with these challenges, go and look there. Anoop has so many great articles, so I went across some of them, but they go so deep, so I often lost them. But if you're in that area, and I think that is really helpful, so feel free to browse over there. And while you do this, like, let me ask like another question to Anoop. Like we talked about the administration side, which is like this large area of challenges. Obviously, we also have the operators on the other side who actually the day-to-day operation of patching and so on. What do you see as challenges in their area? Are there maybe just like one or two sentences around that?
Yep, sure thing. I think let me start from the help desk scenario, right? Help desk people I have seen in most of the organizations are very short-lived, or they change jobs frequently, and new people will get recruited every now and then, right? So to train those help desk people, help desk support for SCCM is bit challenging because I think SCCM is very old product, and it has a lot of great features and great options in the console, but it's a learning curve for L1 or level 1 help desk people. If they are trying to use SCCM console after probably a week's training, it is going to be difficult for them. Right, to find out particular option, where is the particular option in SCCM console. Probably that is going to take 10-15 minutes for L1 people. So I think that is one of the
yeah. And I think this is a good point where we can actually then connect in a moment with Marcus' point. So with the app we have developed for that. So, but maybe one additional question that also was asked here is like about third-party tools. Like, do you see some third-party tools, or if you see some, in what areas are there, or most people are develop their own scripts? So do you have a comment on that area?
Yeah, probably I will. There are a lot of great third-party tools available in the market, right? And I think one of them is many of them is from your side of it. So yeah, that's great. Apart from that, I think if you think from a design and administration perspective, there are some great tools which can reduce the entire infrastructure or architecture of SCCM, right? That is basically Adaptiva or Vani. They have great products, right? We can use those products to reduce the entire complexity of the SCCM architecture, I would say, right? And there are different types of other products, something like third-party patching products, probably those are also very useful to avoid a lot of manual work, etc., right?
Yeah, great. So great. So we've gone quite into the webinar right now. So, and there are some more questions I keep for the end. So we'll actually like to switch over a bit now to the next sections where you can take a break now and we actually go over to what Mark is going to tell. So, and I'll put this here in the back in case you see that, and you see it on your screens as well, right? Is the challenges when patching. So, Marcus, you're the patch expert, like from an operator perspective as well. And I think maybe you pick up the point. It's so that this help desk scenario, right? What Anoop just mentioned, right? And I think this is something good you can connect.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, perhaps I start with the scenario, with the help desk scenario. Why have we developed a product for patch management? And when there's already the SCCM available and doing the patching quite good, the problem is another one. It's the challenge is when you want to do a concrete patching of a Windows system, often a server restart is required so that the patch is really applied to the system. And then the pain begins, the service owner and the application owners don't want to restart the server because the system is running and the application is running, and just to get a Windows patch applied to the system, that's not a good cause for them at some points to get a disruption of the business. And though that's the challenges, and the Microsoft administrators, or SCCM administrators, or operators have to push the updates to not one server but to many servers, and maybe the servers are distributed over the complete planet and globe. So they have different contacts and different responsibles, service owners, application owners they have to contact, and yeah, that's quite difficult to do and to achieve always in time. So if you have a critical patch you want to deploy, maybe you have some conferences and telephone calls and meetings to get everyone in time to the table and to distribute the update. So that's a great problem, and that was a great problem for some customers of us. And they said, okay, can we do something like a solution to provide a better way to get that coordination effort down?
Yeah, I think this is exactly the point here. So things like, you never will patch my service, Mark, because you can't restart them anyway, right?
No,
so
it's not possible. It has to run all the time, and all users are depend on the system that is running, and no way to patch it. And if we restart the server, maybe the system won't run again. I'm afraid to restart the server. So don't put your fingers on it.
Yes, right. So actually, I put up a poll. So for those who actually drifted away from the session here, but I think it's really interesting, and I get good feedback on that. But feel free to actually now get active and give us some feedback. So so Marcus said, well, it's difficult to restart, to get this permission to restart. So actually, how many people do you have to ask for and get permission for a restart here? So so maybe you can just take a second to give us some feedback, Marcus.
Another question would be, do you know all the people you have to actually ask if you want to restart a server? That's the next problem. Perhaps you don't know the real contact for the system, and that would be another obstacle you have to get around.
Okay. By the way, I will show the results in a second, but let me, Anoop and Marcus, what would you guess? What the answers? I think you don't see them, hopefully not, but have a guess before I close them. I show them back to everybody.
I think it is going to be more than two people, two others. The third option would be in most of the scenarios.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. So you got over 30 people that voted for now. So you see the results here. Yeah, there's a lot of questions asked, and I guess a lot of emails going back and forth, Markus, and I think this is a good point for you to continue because everybody has to ask quite a lot of people.
Okay, so maybe then we have something that can help you because yeah, if you have some, if you want to do patching, it's not always a hot patch, but you have the patch Tuesday, and then you get a collection of updates you want to provide to your different systems, and we have developed some best practices for doing that. Like I think many has developed such a best practice and implemented something like that in the SCCM. I think that's not rocket science or nothing new, but we have implemented that in our product so that it is always really done like that, and we can define different waves in our product where we want to push the updates out in a defined timeline and a defined system, so that we have perhaps first integration wave where we have some systems you have defined that are always replaceable and always resettable, so that if something went wrong with the update, you can always say, okay, that's not a problem, we might just make a reset. And if everything goes well in that wave, we can start the quality wave where there are real life applications and test systems there, but not production systems, and we apply the updates there in that wave to that systems. And if everything went well there too, then we start the production wave. So at all points, we can make some quality gates like reviewers, so that the wave is not starting automatically. But if you don't want that, if you just want to go through the waves and everything went well, it goes through. And if you want to say, no, before we start the production wave, there have to be 2 persons reviewing the process that has run so long, and see if the updates really are good, and then they start the actual wave, the production wave, where the updates are applied to the systems. So that's our process here. And from the architecture point, just from the technical stuff, we always use the SCCM as the patch machine. So we are not inventing the patching new. That's not necessary. The SCCM is doing that perfectly. But we're just like a remote control for the SCCM. You know, we are taking all the data and provided from the SCCM. We put it in our own CMDB, and we have some workflows and processes in our application. And we put some additional information to the already existing information from the SCCM, something like, you know, who is the primary responsible user for that machine and who's the deputy. So what are the persons who can decide when the system gets updates and when it can be restarted. So that's an essential definition we put in our patch management, so that there's a good overview who's responsible for the machines. Yeah, I would like to show you something in live, not just slides. And I changed to the browser so that you can see our product. And what you are seeing here now is basically the entry point for an operator, for a normal user, for a system owner, for an application owner, however you would call it. Some person, I would say, who's not used to the SCCM or to the SCCM console. So he don't have to learn the console, but just have to use a web overview. And I'm here seeing all my systems I'm responsible for. And you see here the names of the system, and it is activated. You see the patch status, it's critical, so it's not a good state here at that moment. And we have the patch level. That's an interesting point. And we have different patch levels. So as a system owner or a service owner, I can decide how updates will be applied to the machine. So I can say automatic, that's the gold standard, as to say. And so if I choose that level, the updates get applied in my defined maintenance window, and the system is restarted. So that's the really good case where the updates are really applied and installed and everything is fine. We have another patch level. If we're a little bit carefully with my systems, you can say, okay, we'll make it semi-auto or automatic without reboot, we call it. So the system get the updates and the updates are installed, but there's no reboot. So that's a task I have to do after the updates have been installed. I have to connect to the machine and make the reboot manually. And the third level would be the less interesting. That would be the manual. So that just means that the updates get assigned to the system. So I have to connect to the system, click on OK, install updates, and make the reboot. So it's just like, yeah, not so a good option, but we have provided it for some systems. Maybe it's necessary to do that. So we have the patch category that would be our waves that are production systems. And we have here the important information, who's the primary responsible user, who's the deputy responsible user, and so on. I see now that my system is in a critical state, so I can open the system to get even more information, of course. And I see here critical it is, and I see what software is already installed on the systems and what is the pending patch. So that's the patch who should be applied to the system. I have here the further information from the knowledge base from Microsoft. What does this update do? And then I can decide here as service owner. I have my actions here where I can say, okay, I'm the wrong person for the system. I can change that, maybe, but that's all configurable for your environment. So if you say no, the service owner is determined by us and he should not change that, then we can hide that option, so he cannot do it. But here in our demo system, it is provided. He can change the patch category, that would be the wave. So if you don't want to be in the production wave, we could change it to the test wave. We can change the patch level that I already said anything about all about that. And the most important point would be the maintenance window. So here's the point where you can say, okay, when should the system get patched? And we have here some options like, okay, when should it get patched? What is the recurrence? When from which date it starts? The time window where the system gets patched. And yeah, you know, that's all the options you have in the SCCM2 if you create a maintenance window. So that's just more or less a copy of that. And you can choose that points here when the system gets a maintenance window so that the patches can be applied. But the user can do it by itself. And we provided some additional functions like, you know, there would be some classical maintenance windows like Sundays or Saturdays. So we provide some templates here, or you can provide as administrator, you can provide some templates, some often used templates for the maintenance window so that you get some help as system owner, and you don't have to think about what would be a good time for Sunday or what would be a good time for weekend. And so you can provide some additional help there. Yeah, actually that is what you can do here as system owner. We have some additional views like, okay, here we have some charts where you see, okay, what is the overall state of the machines. I'm administrator, so I see all machines here. We have here, you can drill down and see what is the critical systems, what are the healthy systems here, and you could go to further details here to get an overview for that. Another nice view, I think, it would be the patch calendar. For all administrators, that is a great view where you can see what are the next maintenance windows of the system. So, and at what point in time would be the next time when the patches can be applied. So that's a great overview, in my opinion, where you can see what is done in the next days. So that would be, I think, a short demo of our myOperations. If you're interested, feel free, contact us. You get a further demo at that point. I would change back to the slides so I can say something about the new features we are going to implement in the next month. So a great topic for me would be the implementation.
Well, Marcus, just a quick question. So I haven't seen that patch calendar. This was really great. So and also that I have automatic selected, but I said I'll actually want to tell you when the system should be restarted. So please change that later. So for my service. But anyway, so I just want to give quick feedback from Anoop. So as you also have seen this now, I guess for the first time, what do you have do you think is a good feature of this? Do you like templates for this, or like any quick thoughts that went into your mind when you have seen that?
I think this is very useful for SCCM admins and operations team basically, and their life will be kind of much better with this kind of a tool, right? So that they don't need to kind of coordinate and send mails and chat with the other teams, etc., etc. Right? This is kind of self empowering the other people in the organization to use SCCM in a different way, right? That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I also like the idea that I can just delegate the systems. But can I change the owner basically for doing the stuff, and don't need to call so many people? And I think Marcus, I think there's also like a process. Somebody needs to approve this. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, that's true. If we're going to we haven't implemented that here or not configured here, but if you go to the wave configs, where we have our two waves, the test and the production wave, we can define that we want to have some approvers before the wave starts. So I can just say, okay, Christian, you want to do the review before the wave starts. I put you in there, and when the next wave starts, you get a mail, hello, the wave wants to be started. Is it okay? And you have to review it, and then click OK, and then the activity is actually starting. Yeah. And that's all configurable. You know, we don't have anything put there hard coded. It's everything is configurable and customizable. So it really can be customized to your environment.
Great. So maybe just after I've shown this, Marcus, back to you. Maybe you can just explain a bit. Like we have a community edition, right? We have a larger customer base here in Central Europe. So, but maybe talk about what we plan next and what we do for a community from the community edition perspective.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the next great step would be the usage of the orchestration group. It's a feature, and you have to I think it's still in the testing mode, so it's not really production ready perhaps, but it would be a nice feature, because with the orchestration group we can do something like use a pre-start script and a post-patch script, so that I would like to use with our product, so that the system owner sees the system starts now with the patching. We can send mails out if the patch process starts, and also for the end of the patch process, we get some information. Is the patch applied? What is the status of the machine? And then we can do something like that, and even more transparency there for the system and application owner. So that would be the next great feature we want to implement with the orchestration groups. And another feature was requested from customers, like, okay, we have the maintenance window. We can put one maintenance window with a fixed date, or we can make a recurrence. But some customers have some scheduled plans for the machines for the whole year. So they want to put the defined maintenance windows, which are on some dates, individually for each system. So that would be the next feature we implement, that we don't have just one maintenance window, but unlimited individual maintenance windows for each system. So yeah, and what we provide for the community is our community edition. That's a free version, if you want to, which is fully functional. It is limited to 25 Windows systems, so you can make some easy steps there. It's just a setup you have to execute. We need some database. It's and documentation is with the MSE package provided. So you just can visit myoperations.de or request it via data center software at axions.de. Feel free, if you want to try it out. All you need is a SQL database. SQL Express would be fine. Set up Exe and connect it to the SCCM, and then you can start. Your machines will be collected automatically if you're connected, and you can see the machines, you can activate them, and you can try to create your first steps with the myOperations fetch management.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. I put the link into the chat, so if anybody wants to try it out, feel free to download it and bring it to your test environment. For those who don't have a test bed, you also can provide like log into a remote system to try it out. So just drop us an email or put something in the chat. So maybe let's circle back to Anoop. So there was one question, like, and one pain point we've been quite a number of our customer experience, and that has the word Linux. Right, so the little penguin. So Microsoft took it out of the SCCM. So, and maybe I still think Anoop, you have heard about that. So, quick question to basically you from your perspective. So, when people heard about this, like, have you heard about what they do basically now, or any feedback you have on that side for Microsoft after they stopped SCCM support for Linux?
Yeah, that was really interesting stage when that announcement came from Microsoft, saying, "Oh, okay, SCCM, we are going to stop supporting Linux Unix clients from SCCM perspective. We are not going to support that." Right? I think this was 2-3 years before or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But I had a blog post about that, and a lot of community people commented on that post, like, oh, what are we going to do with that, and what are the possible scenarios to patch Linux machines if we don't have SCCM, or if there is no support from SCCM, etc. Right? I think we circle back with Microsoft also in with some of these questions, and the answer that came from them is basically to use something called Azure Update Management, lately Microsoft introduced something called Azure Arc also, right? So using these two technologies, they are asking IT pros or system admins to manage patching of Linux, Unix VMs or physical devices, right?
Yeah. So I actually like, as we discussed this in the beginning, would be interesting like how everybody on this call sees things. So let's so I have put up another poll so for everybody on this call. So time to actually move your mouse a bit and do some clicks here. This is a multiple choice one. So and I see quite a number have already found the poll. So answers getting in, and again I will share back the results. So and obviously everybody needs Windows, so that's clear, right? So and everybody selects Windows, but there's a good chance that others as well select it. So and this I see already as the results coming. This is going to be very interesting continuation of this call now. So everybody can finish the poll. So I close the poll, and I'm Anoop and Marcus. I'm not asking for your guess because it's going to be difficult here now. So I'll just share the results back. So you see here, we got close to 50% of the people on the call actually do use Linux, and even 25% are still on AIX and Solaris, and macOS. Yeah, second after Windows. So there is indeed a quite a significant need to patch this one as well. And obviously we as we have a very large number of SCCM customers here in Central Europe, and they also approached us, and we thought, like, what do we do, right? Marcus, you remember we had a number of calls and thought what we can do about this, and we are not able to put it back in because like we could as a third party maybe hold this on like after they ripped it out, the support, but we didn't really find a way to do that. So we're actually going another another route actually. And Marcus, maybe you want to actually talk a bit about what we do for patching Linux systems.
Yeah, thank you. So we have some experience with patching Windows systems with the SCCM. So, and we always or often get the question for Linux systems, how can we patch all in one tool? And so we started the project, the patch operator, that will will be a tool one for all. So we're not just focusing on Windows systems. We're focusing on all systems in your environment, and that would be for the start, of course, Windows and Linux, and maybe other systems will follow in the future. We have actually the same approach as with the patch management we already have in place. So we want to define and describe all the server systems in your environment so that you have everything in your place. And of course, there will be some discovery done there so that you don't have to put everything manually there, but everything will be discovered in your environment, Windows systems, Linux system. So if that is done, you can then define the responsibilities, and that would be a great place for self-management for service and application owners too. Though actually, like what we have seen with the patch management, we want to do with the patch operator, extending the functionality to the Linux world. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
Would be the interesting part. For the actual patching, we would go with Ansible and Ansible scripts and playbooks and so on. So that would be our way, or will be our way, with a patch operator to distribute and apply the patches to the systems.
Yeah. Well, we're getting towards the end already, so we can't spend too much more time on this. But maybe a few words on the roadmap and where we are currently, Marcus.
Yeah, actually we are in development, and we see our first release where we can patch Windows and Linux systems for the first quarter of 2022, and after that we are working on the complete control during the patch process, so that you have some steps you can control more, and after that we are going into the customizations for your environment, where you can make custom patch steps there. So that's actually the roadmap we are following, and I'm really looking forward for the first release in beginning next year.
Great. So yeah, so maybe let's stay with that. And there's like when you go to myOperations, our website, I posted into the chat, though, you find like two other products of the family. Maybe a very short overview before we go to some questions. I have got some questions in the question area. So Marcus, maybe just a few words on the other parts in the portfolio before we do take some questions.
Yeah, what we talked today was our product for the Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager, or SCCM. We have another product, the Service Management Portal, relying on the Service Manager, System Center Service Manager, a complete self-service portal, and portal for analytics too. And last but not least, our Service Designer, depending on the Microsoft Operations Manager monitoring tool to define your IT services, including your IT assets and monitoring and so on. So just some few words on that products we're already in our have in our portfolio too.
Wonderful. So well, there goes the first question then now. So well, so basically there's a question in do you have anything to manage patching LTSC, long-term servicing channel Windows 10 apart from SCCM? So this might be not directly related to our product, but maybe Anoop, you also have some idea on that, because this goes in really like finding a way to patch LTSC Windows 10 apart from SCCM. I hope I get the question correctly. So yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what are the scenarios of Windows 10 long-term service branch, right? Because I have not seen this for many years now. So I don't know, like, what are the options? To be honest, but most of these scenarios, these devices are not connected to internet, maybe. And probably you might need some offline kind of tool, or probably you can try WSUS. I don't know, I never tried it, but probably if there is no SCCM, then probably WSUS is the best solution for on-prem kind of solution, right?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So then there's one more question for myOperations here, like the product structure for if you have more than 25 systems. So actually, the product we've developed here, the myOperations Patch Manager, is basically really like a one-time fee you pay no matter how large your environment is, basically from the community edition to the full version. So it depends a bit where you are located, so it's difficult to give a general answer for that, but just drop us a message. So but as I said, this is a finished product we've on the market since Marcus. Since when do we have the patch management?
Oh, I think since 3 years already.
3 years around, yeah. So so drop us a mail if you have more questions on that. Great. So I think with that, we'll close to the hour, and the remaining question I'll take by email. So with that, I actually like to do a short wrap up here. So thanks a lot for Anoop. So really thank you, and all the work you're doing for the community. Thanks a lot. So yeah, and yeah, we'll keep reading your blog and promoting it. So and looking always for good ideas. And thanks, Marcus, for being on here as well today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was great pleasure to attend this as a special guest and present some tips. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So with that, thank you everybody to you, Andy, and have a good rest of your day wherever you are, and stay healthy, and wish you good luck for your work. Thank you, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye now.